I found you online after, I would say a good amount of time of my life of really having what I felt were all of the pieces to living a very happy life. I have three wonderful, healthy children. I have a super loving and supportive husband. I have everything I ever wanted in my life. I have a thriving business, but I just did not feel like I was experiencing joy on a regular basis. And it took a long time for me to admit that, because, you have everything. What's your problem? Why do you not feel happy all the time? And I just knew that there was something standing in the way of me really embracing and being happy with the wonderful life that I am blessed with. And so I read a post of yours, and it really resonated with me, and that's kind of how I got here.
Oh, awesome. So, whenever you think about where you were then and where you are now, how would you say life has changed because of the work we've done together?
Oh gosh. In a lot of ways. A lot of ways. I, it's hard to pinpoint one thing. I would say in the simplest terms, I am happy. It's a genuine, happiness now. I mean, everybody has their days and their struggles, and life happens, but I would say that overall, like, my happiness level and the joy that I'm able to experience every day has dramatically increased. Um, and that came through, hard work. And I think that it uncovered our work together, uncovered a lot of things about my childhood, that I didn't realize were really holding me back. And I'd say most of all, it made me understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling and why I was doing the things that I was doing to try to find that joy. And it just it felt like a big weight off my shoulders. I finally got it. And making those changes has really allowed me to be happy.
Oh, that's so wonderful. How would you say people in your life maybe have noticed the changes?
Yeah. I would say it's probably the biggest changes can be noticed in like my immediate family, my husband and my kids. I try really hard to be intentional with my time. You've given me some really good tools of how to, block my schedule into certain pockets so that I can be more present. So I think my kids don't really know how to verbalize the changes that they've seen, but I'm sure that they have. I know that my husband definitely has, and he's, seen me try to put myself first more often, be more present, and really, enjoy the time that we have together as a family instead of always rushing from one thing to another.
Hmm. And so, how would you say that's affected just your relationship with your husband?
In wonderful ways. I feel like we're, so much more connected. We're both, work full time, have very busy lives, have our kids, of course. But I think that it's allowed us to prioritize time together, in doing things that we really love and want to be doing together. So I think that it's kind of just, I think that it slowed things down a little bit. And I've really learned how to kind of unapologetically say no to certain things that have left more space for what's truly important. So I would say that it's really it's been a great thing for us.
Wonderful. And so, whenever you think about maybe the confidence aspect of all this work, how do you feel like having that authentic joy affects confidence?
Yeah, big time. I would say I think that having that authentic joy and knowing that I've put the work in to get there, and it's something that I live every day, really improves confidence. I think that I'm in this place of being like so sure of who I am, that it's really, I feel like it's definitely directly correlates to self-confidence and like self-worth and, being loved and all of that, by myself. first and foremost, which was something that I struggled with before.
Awesome. So then whenever you think about someone that's looking in and they're kind of going through some of those struggles, but they're sort of unsure, would this work for them? It's online. How does that even work? What would you say to that person?
I would say that, I'm kind of naturally like a skeptical person. Maybe not the best way to live your life, but that's just who I am. And again, I know exactly who I am now. So,
Hmm.
um, I kind of came into this thinking, okay, we're doing this over Zoom. There's the energy work. I've never been very good at like mindful practices or meditation. And that's a piece of this. And so I wasn't really super sure. But I would say that I was completely proven wrong. I think that it's wonderful doing it over Zoom because I'm in my home and I'm able to have our sessions like where I'm the most comfortable. That I think that that immediately allows my body to like relax and really get into the work. So I would say that about the Zoom. And then I would say with the overall approach, I just really gave into it and it worked. And it was a really transformational experience and kind of where I went in our different sessions and the things that I was able to pull out about my upbringing and my childhood and my relationship with my, family, my parents was shocking to me that that was buried in there. And I think naturally as humans we bury things and we just get on with our life, and I thought I'm good, I'm fine. But those sessions really allowed me to tackle things that were there for a long time.
Awesome. So do you feel like, as far as the hypnotherapy portion goes, do you feel like that was hard for you, or how would you describe that? Because I think that's one of the things people struggle with the most, is just like, how does that even work? How can you do that online? Um,
Hmm.
what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that that's fair because people, I think it's easy to be skeptical of something you don't understand. And I didn't understand it either. And so I was like, I guess I'll give it a shot. And so um I would just say that, have like an open mind to it and like allow yourself to give it a chance. And even if it's just like that first session where you're like, okay, for 1 hour, I'm going to decide that like I believe in this through and through wholeheartedly and see if it works for you. And it will, and you'll be a believer in it. So I'm very big on like giving myself, get through this, amount of work for the next 2 hours and kind of giving myself like these time blocks. And so if you just give yourself that first session and like, okay, I'm just going to be all in on this, I think you'll be really surprised with how it impacts you.
And so, to the person who thinks, oh, hypnosis is like mind control, what would you say to that?
I don't think so at all. I think it really is just more of I mean, at no point did I feel like if were like, raise your hand and I didn't want to, like my body would have done it or something weird like that. Like, I think it just really allows you to like go to places that are kind of like below that subconscious that we like operate at.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that's like the most like logical way I could put it is you're kind of just going like a level deeper than you typically do in like your daily life. You don't feel controlled. You don't feel any of the, whatever they say in the movies about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. So you wouldn't have been quacking like a duck.
No, no, exactly. No, I wouldn't have. I used to see those at the fair and stuff, and I'd be like, this doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, that's all for show. This
it
is
is
for real life.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you say that this process has worked in regards to, other areas that you didn't necessarily think it would affect? Perhaps
Um,
business or other relationships outside of family?
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I think it's taught me, to prioritize basically everything in my life. I didn't expect that. It's really taught me, prioritizing friendships, prioritizing myself. And also that like I think that an aspect of like that self-love, self-worth comes and you just kind of stop accepting less from, and like in my perspective, I can speak to it for work. Like I'm a consultant, so I have a variety of clients, and some of those relationships are stronger than others. And it's like at the end of the day, I know that I'm valuable. I know that I'm delivering a certain product and a certain service to my customers. And if it's not the right fit, that's okay. So I would just say that like everything feels more on my terms.
Hmm.
Um, and I can, prioritize what's important in my life. My family, my friends, my career is very important, but it no longer is everything. It always felt like a lot of it was like I would tie my success with work to a lot of self-worth. And it still is a piece of because I'm very proud of what I do, but I would say that it is so much more, has like a lot less control over me, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And so, specifically thinking about a mom, so a lot of us moms struggle with self care because we want to love our kids and do all of the things for
Yep.
them. And we don't quite understand like why it's important for us to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you could share as far as that goes that you think would be helpful?
Yeah, and that's probably like the biggest struggle that I think that I've had, and I think I will just continue to. And I talk to girlfriends about this, and they do too. And I mean, the reality is there's so many hours in the day, and you're always going to, tend to the needs of your family before your own, and that's why you're a great mom, and that's why you're raising, little people who have everything that they need. But at the same time, like I hate when people say like you can't pour from empty glass, or if I fill my cup first, like all of those analogies, it's like, okay, but at the end of the day, like how much time is in the day? So I feel like I try to be like intentional and find like little pockets to myself. Like and this is different for everybody because everybody's schedule looks a certain way, but I just try to, some days it is more than others. Some days I really can get in the gym for an hour. Some days it's 5 minutes and I like just go in the other room and I just like take some deep breaths. Like that's all self-care. And people define it in different ways. People's schedules allow for different things, but if you're not dedicating 3 hours a day to it, you're not doing something wrong. Some days it's going to be 2 to 5 minutes, and some days it's going to be a couple hours because you had a couple meetings canceled, and all of a sudden you have like time to yourself and you don't know what to do. And it's a perfect time to, relax and have some time to yourself. So
So, would you say that it's helpful for moms to do that work and to have that time for themselves? How
I
would
do.
that show up for you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's very helpful. I think it's very important. It's harder than it sounds. It's more challenging to fit it in, and I never want to like discount that because I feel like that's constantly a thing. Like, oh, you got to take care of yourself first. It's like that's lovely, but um, I think it makes you kind of more well-rounded.
Hmm.
Um, I think a lot of times when you have little kids, you kind of like your identity becomes that, and you're still a person, and you were a person before your kids and before your husband and for your wife or whatever, like still honoring that. It just kind of goes back to adding to that self-confidence because you're doing the things that you want to do, that you love doing, or that make you better for everybody else. I think it's incredibly important. Excuse me.
So, whenever you think about um, someone else who's looking into doing this, how would you recommend it to someone? What would you say to someone that's kind of like, I don't know, would this work for me?
Yeah. I would definitely always recommend it. I think that, I mean, I only have the experience that I have directly with you. Um, so I don't know how well it would work with someone else, but with you, and that's who I can speak to specifically, like you have a very like calming, warm nature about you, and like a non-judgmental, genuine care and love for what you do and the people that you do it for. And I think it comes across, excuse me, in the conversations and the sessions and the recordings and everything. Um, So I would 100% recommend it, not just because I really believe in the work, but I also believe in the way that you deliver it. And it feels very heartfelt when working with you.
Oh, thank you. I love to hear that because I feel like that's such a big part of why I do what I do.
Mhm.
People heal their hearts, and so I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I appreciate everything that you've been able to share with us today and for the viewers as well. It's so wonderful to see you, and I'm so excited for all the changes that you've noticed in your life
Yeah.
and what's still to come.
Yes. Thank you for everything you've done. It's been a very life-changing experience.
Oh,